People's Temple. Imagine you're a lonely, depressed person, barely getting by in a world that feels stacked against you through racism, poverty, and constant frustration. Then you hear about a charismatic man in his 40s named Jim Jones. He preaches healing and salvation, promising a family that ends your suffering, a place without racism, hunger, or fear. You watch him pull a tumor from someone's neck right in front of you. The person who was in pain a moment ago stands up, says he's healed, and praises Jones like a god. Another time, he casually says to a woman who has been paralyzed for years to stand. And she does. You hear whispers that it's all fake, that he's a fraud. But you saw the miracles with your own eyes. So when Jim tells you that the outside world is the enemy, you believe him instantly and pack your bag to go with him. You fly to Guyana, then travel along a dirt road through the jungle to his community near the Venezuelan border, known as Jonestown. For the first time in a while, you feel hope. But in the following months, hope fades, and work stretches into over 12-hour days. Then come late-night meetings about the rituals and rules. When you get some sleep, the morning loudspeaker wakes you up in just 2 or 3 hours. Breakfast is still mostly rice. Still, you keep quiet, because Jones is your savior, and you have nowhere else to go. But on November 14, 1978, a normal day in Jonestown, when you're tired and hungry as usual, word spreads that a U.S. Congressman, Leo Ryan, is coming to investigate. Jim tells you Ryan is dangerous and wants to destroy everything you built. But when Ryan walks in, he seems calm and reasonable. He asks if anyone is being kept against their will. For a moment, you wonder the same thing, but you say nothing because Jim told you he's an enemy. But on November 18, before Ryan leaves, you watch 14 people quietly pass him folded notes. You don't read them. You don't have to. Their faces say enough. That night, word comes back that Ryan and those 14 people never made it to the airstrip alive. And that's when you understand there's no way out of here anymore. And Jones knows there's no coming back from killing a congressman. He gathers everyone in the pavilion and says, "The end has come. The enemies are closing in. This is the only way to stay free. It's finally time for revolutionary suicide." A large barrel rolls out, filled with Flavor Aid. You watch the cups move through the crowd. Children go first. Mothers crouch down in front of them with cups in tears. And in a moment, the bodies start collapsing one by one. One cup reaches your hand too. You think about dropping the cup, but the armed guards in front of you stare you down. You have no choice but to drink. You repeat Jones's words to yourself for comfort. At first, it just tastes sweet as usual, but you can feel a faint bitterness underneath. In a second, you feel an intense burn in your throat, as if you just drank something acidic. Your stomach tightens so much that you twist hard in pain. You try to breathe, but your chest locks up, and dizziness hits you. You only see that you're standing amidst the pile of bodies. Some of them are shaking uncontrollably. That's the last thing you see before your world goes dark, and you collapse into the growing pile. On November 18th, 1978, Jonestown, Guyana, 908 people, including Jim Jones himself, died in that pavilion and in the surrounding grounds. One of the followers was Zipporah Zip Edwards. Only her younger sister, Catherine Hyacinth Thrash, survived by hiding under a bed, and later told the story in her book. Yabua Blood Cult. You're a curious teenager from Yerba Buena, Mexico, and it's 1963. You've been noticing that people from your village are constantly disappearing at night from a cave. So, one night, you go there to check and hide behind a boulder. You recognize two men. They showed up months ago in the village with dusty shoes and smiles. Santos and Cayetano Hernandez. They said they knew about buried treasure in this mountain. But to get it, the villagers had to trust them and follow their rituals. You stay hidden, watching people from your village on the ground. First, they're stripped naked. Then the Hernandez brothers start beating them with sticks and fists brutally. When the villagers become tired and almost unconscious, the brothers take out a knife and slit their throats one by one. They drain the blood into a bowl. At the center of it all stands a woman you've seen around the village. Her name is Magdalena Solis. A few months ago, she was nobody. Now she drinks from the bowl like a goddess receiving her offering. You run straight to the police station in the nearest town. Looking at your traumatized condition, the police believe you, and an undercover officer, Luis Martinez, comes with you the next morning to investigate. You think everyone is safe now. From today on, no one in your village will have to die like this. But when you and Luis reach the cave, the cult members grab both of you and pin you to the ground. They drag you both inside, and at night, you two are prepared for the ritual. They strip you and beat you with the same sticks you watched them use the night before. The blows don't stop until you stop fighting back. By the time they drag you to the center, you can barely see. Through swollen eyes, the last thing you make out is the Hernandez brothers crouching over you with a knife and that same blood-stained bowl. Your body is dumped on a farm track outside the village. That's where the police found Sebastian Guerrero, a young boy from Yerba Buena, who exposed the cult. When Officer Luis didn't return, the police flooded the village on May 31, 1963. Santos Hernandez caught a bullet in the raid, and Cayetano's own followers beat him to death when they figured out that the treasure was never real. Magdalena Solis and her brother were arrested on the spot. Sebastian Guerrero never got to see any of it, but without him, none of it would have happened. Narco-Satanists. It's past midnight, Mexico, 1989. You're walking along the road, heading back home from your friend's party. Suddenly, you see headlights cut through the dark. A police vehicle rolls to stop right beside you, and two uniformed men climb out. One of them stops you and says you're drunk in public. You try to tell them they're mistaken, but they insist on taking you to the police station. You get in the car because what else are you going to do against the literal police? But in a few minutes into the ride, you realize the car isn't going to any police station. Instead, it turns down a side street, then another. The city lights start thinning out. You watch through the window and see no landmarks. Somewhere on the edge of the town, it stops. There's a ranch in front of you. One of them grabs your arm and pulls you out. Your hands are tied behind your back before you can react. You try to ask them where you are and why, but nobody responds. They only push you into a small cabin and leave you there on the floor. You wait for no idea how long. Finally, they come back and walk you across the compound. Men are standing in a loose circle, watching you. And at the center of it all is a young guy, clean clothes, relaxed posture, completely calm. That's when the fear hits. You don't know what this place is, but you understand now that you're not leaving. The cult members close in and start hitting you with fists, boots, and sticks. You scream, but no one comes. Soon your voice gives out, but the beating doesn't stop. It goes on for hours, until you can't even lift your head. The last thing you see is the leader coming to you with a machete. You feel its one lethal blow to the back of your neck, then nothing. But they're not done with your body. They cut part of your skull away and drop it into a large pot, a nganga, already full of human remains and ritual objects. They thread the wire through your spine and cut your legs off at the knees. This is what happened to Mark Kilroy, a 21-year-old pre-med student from Santa Fe, Texas. When Mark didn't come home, his family pushed the local authorities hard to look for him. Police eventually raided the Santa Elena ranch. They found Mark and 15 others like him. When police cracked open that nganga, inside it was human brain matter, a roasted turtle, a horseshoe, and a child's toy. The cult leader was identified as Adolfo Constanzo. He built the cult through the mid-80s with his right-hand woman, Sara Aldrete. They called her the Godmother. Together, they sold protection spells and luck rituals to cartel bosses and politicians. Powerful men paid serious money to have Constanzo perform dark ceremonies for them. And the bigger the favor they wanted, the more the ritual demanded. It always came down to the same thing: blood. Constanzo initially ran to Mexico City, but when police cornered him weeks later, he told one of his own followers to shoot him. The follower obeyed. All 14 remaining members were arrested and convicted, and Sara Aldrete, the Godmother, was declared a serial killer. The Vampire King Cult. It's 1986, and you're 7 years old. Your father is sitting at the head of the table. Everyone else is quiet. He opens the Bible. Not the real Bible, though. His version of it, handwritten. He reads out aloud, so you and other family members never forget the rules of the house. But you have to take this lesson 3 times a day: morning, afternoon, night. He calls himself Jessera Vampire, the reborn Messiah. And you believe him, because that's all you've ever been taught. You know the fridge has food in it, but not for you. You and other family members only share one person's meal once a day. He sits at the dinner table with a full plate. You count 3 pieces of bread among 9 of you. Once you try to steal from the fridge. He throws you outside and tells you to find food in the dustbin. You're not allowed to go outside. But even if you have to, you must wear dresses that fully cover your arms, legs, and neck. When a neighbor waves from across the street, you don't wave back, because if you do, you'll have to eat from a dustbin. So you do everything you can, hoping he'll finally care about you the way a father should. But what you get instead isn't fatherly love. It's something far darker. On certain nights, he picks you for what he calls your duty. You feel chosen, because that's the only way your mind can deal with what happens next. You're relieved that you won't have to eat from dustbins tomorrow. But soon, you get pregnant. Then your sister does too. And then the next girl. New babies arrive and fall under the same rules as your father. Now you're a family of 18. One day, you see 12 coffins show up in your house. Your father explains the plan. If police ever raid your house, all of you need to end your lives one by one. The young ones go first, the older ones later. You've been told this so many times that it doesn't even sound strange anymore. And on March 12, 2004, when you're 25 years old, it happens. Outside, police cruisers line the street. You know what you have to do now. You gather all your 8 siblings, your nieces and nephews. One is still in diapers. You walk them down the hallway, into the black room near the coffins. You take out a .22 caliber pistol and start shooting with the youngest. 1 shot in the left eye each. Then the next. You move down the line, obeying your father's order. And when everyone's dead, you turn the gun on yourself and pull the trigger. That's how Sabrina Wesson, 25, brought her story to an end. 80 minutes pass, then the front door opens, and your father walks out, calm, as though none of it had anything to do with him. Inside, officers found all 9 bodies stacked in a single pile on a pool of blood. That father, Marcus Wesson, was convicted on 9 counts of murder in 2005. The investigation revealed that he had groomed the children's mother, Elizabeth, from the age of 15. He was 28. He fathered 9 children with her, then continued his abuse with the other girls brought into the household. At least 4 children born inside that house were his blood relatives. On June 27, 2005, Marcus received the death penalty. But ironically, he's still alive today, sitting in a cell. Church of the Lamb of God. Imagine you're 3 months pregnant, but instead of resting, you're running for your life. Town to town, staying off main roads, keeping your head down. Your firstborn son isn't with you. He's been taken by your father. So, to protect the second child, you hit the road. But you know your father's followers are hunting you everywhere. And if they find you, they'll kill you. And you know your father is capable of killing his family ruthlessly. You've watched him do it. In 1972, some men pulled into a parking lot, and when your Uncle Joel got out of his car, they shot him dead in public. After that, the rules were very simple. You disagree, you die, as Joel did. You gather your own followers, you die. As another cult leader, Robert Simons, died. You leave, you die. The reason you're wanted right now. Your father calls it blood atonement. It sounds like scripture. It works like a hit list. But one day the road runs out. While you're walking cautiously on the road, someone grabs you from behind. You struggle and try to run, but you can't outnumber them. They pin you down to the ground. You scream, but there's no one to help you. But they don't kill you with guns. Your father always said correction should hurt. So they wrap their hands around your throat and choke you. You claw at their fingers until your nails bend back. Your eyes strain against the pressure. And then you stop fighting. They bury you somewhere no one will ever look. Rebecca LeBaron Chenoweth, the 25-year-old daughter of Ervil LeBaron, was killed in April 1977. It all started with the Church of the Firstborn. Her grandfather's church was meant to be shared between Ervil and his brother Joel. But Ervil wanted it all. So Ervil started killing even his family members and wrote new rules. 3 years after Rebecca's murder, Ervil was arrested and sentenced to life in prison. But the orders didn't stop. Letters kept coming out of his cell. Names, instructions, targets. From behind bars, he ordered the public killing of rival leader Rulon Allred through his manifesto. It was a written hit list he called a manifesto, marking so-called traitors for death. The names weren't strangers. They included his young daughter, Jennifer Chenoweth, and his stepson, Eddie Marston. Even after he died in 1981, that document kept circulating quietly through loyal cult members. And in 1988, followers acted on it again, leading to the infamous 4 o'clock murders, coordinated shootings on June 27, 1988, at exactly 4 p.m. across multiple locations in Texas. 6 members of the LeBaron family were killed, carried out by Ervil's own sons, Heber and Aaron. By the end of it all, the cult had done nothing but spill blood, leaving 25 lives behind. Kirtland Cult. Suppose you're standing in a driveway outside a farmhouse in Kirtland, Ohio. It's the late 1980s. The atmosphere smells like cut grass and wood smoke. The leader of the place, Jeffrey Lundgren, is a big guy with a steady voice. He doesn't shout, he just talks and the room goes quiet. He says God speaks through him directly, and demons are buried under the earth right now, waiting, and that the end is coming, and only they'll be ready. So you leave your old house behind and hand over your savings to him, and you move your wife and your 3 daughters close to the farmhouse. Not inside it, though. You keep a small bank account, just enough to keep your family going. Within weeks, the mood shifts, and people in the farmhouse are talking behind you. Nobody says anything directly, but you feel it. Yet you decide not to stress about it much. So, on April 17th, 1989, when someone asks you to help out at the barn, you feel like everything's okay. You grab your jacket and walk out. But the moment you step into the barn, a pair of arms lock around you from behind. Your feet scrape dirt. Something wooden hits your elbow. A cloth goes over your mouth and gets taped down. Your wrists are pulled together with rope. Your knees hit the ground. They drag you across the barn floor towards a hole on the ground, already dug for you. The only thing you can think about is your wife, your daughters. 2 gunshots ring out, and Jeffrey Lundgren kicks your body into the pit. Meanwhile, back at the farmhouse, someone tells your wife you need help at the barn. But the moment she walks in, the door shuts behind her. They grab her, blindfold her, and tie her wrists. She's brought to the pit and shot 3 times. Her body's thrown on top of you. Then the daughters, one by one, all 3, shot in the chest and head, dumped into the pit. It's dug to bury your entire family. A chainsaw runs outside the entire time, so no one in the farmhouse hears a thing. This is how David Avery and his whole family died in that pit. The group also fell apart later. An ex-member got into a personal fight, left the place, and went straight to the police. When investigators started digging, literally, Lundgren ran. They caught him anyway. When he went to trial in 1990, he still maintained his character. He told the judge he was chosen by God. The jury sentenced him to death, and his wife Alice received multiple life sentences. The other followers who helped him went to prison. The Branch Davidian. Imagine you're standing barefoot in a field outside Waco, Texas. A man with long hair and a guitar is telling you that the world's going to end. His name is David Koresh. The way he reads the Bible, it feels like a door opening. Like you've been reading the wrong version your whole life. When he says God chose him to save people, you believe him. And you move into the Waco farmhouse to join his superhero team, his followers. Here, you wake up at 5 a.m., study the Bible for hours, and eat just rice and beans. And slowly, you notice everything you do, your sleep, food, and even conversations are being controlled by one man, David Koresh. Still, you don't question it. He's the captain, the savior, after all. Then one day, the guns arrive. AR-15s, grenade casings. You help unload the crates without asking why. David always said the authorities would come eventually. You believed him then, too. February 28, 1993, 9:30 a.m. You hear the sound of engines, boots, and a megaphone asking you all to surrender. Looking outside, you see ATF agents, over 70 of them. The moment one of you fires, a shootout starts. Glass breaks, buildings get damaged, 4 agents go down. 2 of your people also die, and you're hit in the shoulder, but you keep fighting. The siege lasts 51 days. The FBI cuts the power. The food runs out, but all you're looking for is more weapons. You see, some members are leaving amidst the chaos. 35 of them, including 21 kids. But David doesn't surrender, nor do you. Finally, on April 19th, you wake up to the sound of tanks. The FBI drives them straight into the walls. Tear gas floods every room, and a fire breaks out in the building. Before you even realize what's happening, you hear a loud blast. A wave of heat hits you, burning your skin, and the force throws you hard. You don't get back up. 76 Davidians died that day. David Koresh was found with a gunshot wound to the head. Only 9 people made it out of alive, all of them straight into handcuffs. Heaven's Gate. Imagine it's 1997, California. You're sitting in a room with 38 other people. Everyone's wearing the same black shirt, the same black pants, and the same black Nike sneakers. You don't even know anyone's real name. You have a new name too, Dottie, because it sounds futuristic. This means you're now just another crew member. equal to everyone else, preparing for what comes next. It started back in the mid-1970s. Two people walk into your life, Marshall Applewhite and Bonnie Nettles. Marshall looks you in the eye and tells you he and Bonnie are the two witnesses from the Book of Revelation. Not symbolically, literally. And in your UFO enthusiast brain, that sounded believable. Marshall has a simple pitch. You're not going to die, you're going to upgrade. The human body is just a trial version. The full version comes with immortality and a spacecraft out of here. So you gave up things. Your home, your family, your apartment, your last name, and most importantly, your opinions. And if you're a man, you have to leave one more thing. Yes, the very organ that makes you a man. But that doesn't discourage you. All you want is an alien-like genderless body. Instead, what shakes your faith a bit is Bonnie's death. She had cancer, but all of you believed she'd physically board a spacecraft and leave Earth. So how could she die like a regular person, you think? But Marshall comes up with an answer to this. He rewrites the rulebook overnight. He says the body is just a container. The upgrade still happens, just after the container is left behind. Death is actually the final step towards your goal. So years pass, and you wait for it. You eat together, sleep in the same building, and wear the same clothes every single day. Then, in March 1997, Marshall makes a big announcement. He gathers you all and points at the sky. There's a comet up there, Haley Bopp, burning white across the dark. Marshall says that's a signal. That's the spacecraft you all have been waiting for. So you start the final preparations. You sit in front of a camera and record a video, smiling. Then, you say goodbye. You mean it. After that, with everyone in the cult, you eat phenobarbital mixed pudding and applesauce. And then, you drink vodka. This mixture is already lethal, as it slows down breathing and brain function. But to make sure, you wrap a plastic bag over your head. Within minutes, the house goes completely silent. 3 days pass. On March 26th, a neighbor called in a foul smell. When the officers push the front door open, they see 39 bodies lying in neat rows, hands at their sides, faces covered with purple cloths, Marshall Applewhite among them, and you. The world calls it a tragedy, a massacre, but inside that house, no one thought they were dying. They believed they were graduating into a higher existence. North Shield's death cult. Imagine you're 45, and you've been sleeping in shelters for months now. Newcastle in winter is not kind. The cold gets into your bones, your shoes are wet, and you haven't had a hot meal in days. And then this man rolls up to you in a wheelchair. Soft voice, calm eyes. He says his name is Zahid Zaman. He volunteers at places and talks about helping people. He also offers you food, a warm bed, and a place to live called Percy, Maine. Why wouldn't you go? When you arrive, from the outside, the house looks completely normal. But the moment you step inside, you notice that other residents move carefully and speak quietly. Nobody even laughs too loudly. Then come the rules. Where you sit, when you sleep, how you speak to Zahid. You don't fight it. You've seen worse. You keep your head down. But then, one morning, you suddenly become the problem. Zahid looks at you differently. The others look at you differently. Someone says you're being ungrateful. Then another repeats the same. You don't even know what you did. Suddenly, everything's your fault. You're lazy, you're dishonest, you're the problem. So the rules decide that you must be punished. Your plate gets smaller. You are given only half a meal once a day. Your sleeping hours get shorter, maximum 3 to 4 hours a night. You wake up dizzy. Slowly, you become so weak that your hands shake when you try to hold a cup. This way, a week passes. Then another. You're not keeping track anymore. You start blacking out while standing up. Your vision goes white, and then you're on the floor without remembering falling. The dragging, the humiliation in front of the others, it all becomes routine. You've almost stopped being surprised by it, but still, you can't think about leaving. You have nowhere to go. Even worse, your legs shake when you stand. Your ribs show through your shirt. You couldn't last an hour outside. Then, one day, someone comes up behind you and forces your own trousers over your face. You freeze in shock. You can't breathe. Your chest tightens. Your eyes strain as if they might burst. You try to fight it to pull free, but your body just doesn't have the strength. And after a few seconds struggle, it's over. It was February 9th, 2016. And that's how Jimmy Prout died. His body was wrapped in a sleeping bag and dumped on a patch of wasteland. But later, the authorities caught everything on the CCTV. One by one, witnesses also began to speak. And slowly, the evidence came together. Zahid Zaman got life sentence, minimum 33 years. The ones who stood there and watched, they went to prison too. Every single one of them. Russian Doomsday Cult. Imagine you're standing at the mouth of a cave in the Penza region, Russia. You're going to live in this cave from now on, far away from the world, totally disconnected, because a divorced architect from Belarus told you so. He says barcodes are evil, money is poison, and your passport is a cursed document that brings trouble. For these reasons, Doomsday is coming, and the world will be over soon, and only he can protect you from this. You think he's right. Money is the root of every problem. The modern world is rotten, and it all begins to make sense to you. When he gives you a date, May 2008, 6 months away, you pack a bag and climb in. But he's not coming with you. He's got some important work. The first week, the cold gets into your fingers. Other cult members are feeling it too. You guys are rationing meals to once a day, but there's barely enough food for a month, let alone 6. And you can't go out and get more because contact with the outside world is forbidden. So you wait until Doomsday arrives, or your leader does. But weeks pass, then months, and neither of them comes. By now, you've grown extremely weak, and the ceiling of the cave is cracking. Small pieces of rock and soil fall into your food, onto your face while you sleep. On March 28, 2008, 7 can't take it anymore and walk out. But you still stay, because you don't want to return to the evil money, immigrants, and a bad life. So you stay, despite the cold, the hunger, the silence, until one day it kills you. But in the end, you're the reason the last 9 even make it out alive. On May 16, 2008, the smell from your decomposing body gets so bad, they just can't take it anymore. So they finally step out into the daylight, and within minutes, they're rushed to the hospital, completely broken from hunger and exhaustion. And your leader, Pyotr Kunitsov, he was never in any cave. He was sleeping in a coffin at his house, literally an actual wooden coffin. He said it helped him think. Later, he was diagnosed with schizophrenia, left his family, and spent years walking across Russia, handing out his beliefs like flyers. The court later ruled him unfit to stand trial, and he was placed in a psychiatric facility. But by then, the damage was already done. And in 2008, the world kept moving forward. No apocalypse came, except for the life you left behind, and the one you never got back.